So now we're,
Thank
we're going
you.
to hear from Taz Bhachoo. So Taz, the company's in Berlin, but he's actually joining us from South London. So we're going to hear how Kaiko Systems approaches it. So I'll pass over to Taz. Cheers.
Thanks, Carl. In true kind of Zoom fashion, let me just share my screen and get everything ready to go. So, yeah, as Carl mentioned, I'm actually dialing in from my home office in London at the moment, but delighted to speak in a bit more detail about how Kaiko Systems has leveraged a customer-centric approach to drive our product and our product development since our inception. A bit about me. I'm VP Global Sales. I've been with the organization now just under 2 years and have had the privilege to work with some of the world's leading ship managers, which we'll talk about in a few more slides' time. A little bit about Kaiko Systems, actually. So Kaiko Systems was founded in 2020 with a really simple mission. We exist to digitize frontline technical operations, onboard vessels, and provide a standardized and actionable data set for the maritime industry at scale. Our team is global. Our headquarters is in Berlin. We have an office in London. We offer, I think, a truly follow the sun operating schedule, which I know is absolutely invaluable for our colleagues within the shipping and maritime industry. What we're really proud of is that Kaiko Systems has built itself with seafarers at its heart. And we're incredibly proud that we've continued to develop this way over the last 3.5 years. Some of our operations team, some of our engineers, some of our developers, some of our maritime team, and even some of our commercial leads have been seafarers in the past and know firsthand some of the challenges their community face on a daily basis. And we're proud to work with some of the world's leading ship managers and boast some 800 vessels right now that are currently using and learning with Kaiko Systems as well. But why is that customer-centric approach so important to us? So I think it's safe to say that the shipping and maritime industry is probably one of the last vestiges of traditional business. And I think the last to really go through that rapid and mass journey of digitalization. And if you look at the industry over the last 4 to 5 years, you'll see the kind of inception and adoption of better ERP systems, better SMS, better PMS. And then, over the last kind of 6 to 12 months, you have buzzwords coming into the industry as well. So artificial intelligence being one of those. And I think one of the kind of the big things is that a lot of organizations, certainly within the maritime tech field, don't actually support existing processes. They rip the rug from under the organization and really want to revolutionize and drive a different kind of change or a different process of working. And what we found is that actual approach is not really looking at the day-to-day benefits technology can have. And I think Jan summarized it fantastically in his presentation, where you have those kind of 5 headings of scale, quality or profit, efficiency, positioning, and data-driven decision making. And I think, with these kind of seismic changes in regulation, in compliance, in a move to more kind of green shipping, there's a drive to more digital first experiences, existence, and an embrace of new technologies to really kind of drive that efficiency and drive that data-driven decision making as well. And this is super important because I think in order to be successful within this organization, in order for ship managers to really kind of lead from the front and step away from the pack, you need to actually push an evolution within your organizations rather than a revolution. And I mentioned it before, it's not a case of ripping out the rug and really kind of changing the way that you do things. It's looking for technologies that kind of complement, augment, and supplement your existing workflows and your existing processes that don't require your seafarers to learn all about new regulation, all about new compliance, and all about your new processes. The industry can't afford it. And in essence, in an increasingly volatile market with a number of kind of macro and microeconomic factors affecting the viability of our business, embracing that kind of customer centric and technology that's made with you in mind really can make those process improvements without disrupting your workflows. So you'll get the ability to scale, you get the ability to kind of optimize the quality of your output and your profits, but you'll also see, results when it comes to the measurements of efficiency, the strain on things like OpEx and CapEx. And this kind of understanding of how our customers work really led us to develop the Kaiko Systems workflow and approach. So We work with over 800 crews globally, and there are people using Kaiko Systems at any time really, in a day, in a week, in a month. And one of the things I wanted to highlight, rather than kind of run through the issues that we've uncovered from our customers on the slide, is talk about some of the external factors that also impact the development of a customer-centric software and a customer-centric approach to product development. Things like the Seafarer's Happiness Index, as well as studies by the Harvard Business Review, Deloitte, KPMG, have highlighted that employee satisfaction can also drive the overall success of your business. And by success, we're looking kind of generically or generally at kind of top line. And some of the key factors raised within the Seafarer's Happiness Index point toward having the right tooling and better working conditions in order to be more efficient and to have more time to contact their families, etc. Now, if you think about the operations on board a vessel and the technical operations on board a vessel, you really kind of have this Pandora's box of data, of insights that organizations don't really leverage. Your crews are working tirelessly 7 days a week to ensure that your vessels conform to all of those regulations as well, whether that's right ship, whether that's ISM memorandums or IMO memorandums or SOLAS requirements. The data they collect from this process is never really standardized. Every organization has a different way of visualizing that data and collecting that data to conform to those requirements. And actually, every crew has a different way of collecting that data in order to conform to the ship manager's requirements. And so actually, what happens to it? Why don't we use it? How do we use it? And how do we actually use that data to inform better decision making, but also better process and workflow management on the vessel as well? In order to do that, there are a number of different ways, and we'll go through those kind of step by step. But essentially, Kaiko Systems has presented to the industry a dynamic workflow, which kind of splits that process into 3 distinct areas. But it also leverages things like artificial intelligence to provide you with those actionable insights and to provide you with that real-time data analysis, meaning that you don't have to rely on hundreds, maybe thousands of emails and correspondence backwards and forwards to understand what the real issue is on your vessel. Again, it's a very cheesy line, but you kind of unlock Pandora's box when it comes to that data and when it comes to those insights. And it also actually allows you to move away from perhaps those antiquated data collection methods, that old world way of data collection and process management there as well. The Kaiko Systems workflow is split into kind of 3 key areas, and it was built through extensive consultation with strategic partners and key players within the shipping and maritime industry. What we want to do is we want to power that evolution, and we want to help you start streamlining those processes and onboard workflows. We also want your shore teams to operate more efficiently and have the ability to communicate with their crews, with those seafarers seamlessly and instantly as well. We want to open up those communication channels, and we also want to broaden their scope so that you have the holistic view of a fleet or a cross section of a fleet to really make decisions and kind of optimize your costs and look at how you're really applying that OpEx and CapEx spend. The first kind of element is creating that digitized workflow. And again, it's not ripping up the rule book, but it's really kind of putting in place a digital twin of the vessel, a familiar interface that's really easy to use, that is device agnostic. Most seafarers now are doing some processes using a mobile device or a tablet, and the Kaiko Systems app is really designed to be leveraged on that hardware, or it's designed to allow you to introduce that hardware onto your vessels. It provides on-the-job guidance, and it provides that streamlined data collection, and we'll get into that in a bit more detail in a moment. The next thing we want to do is we want to actually allow organizations to really review and collaborate on their data. And if you think about seafarers and some of the feedback we've kind of collated from our crews, from the seafarers we work with, is that there is so much data. There are so many data points. Where do they start? And so a cloud-based dashboard allows your seafarers to effectively have their own virtual assistant and really manage their vessels, manage the crews, look at findings in a succinct and concise way. And then the cool thing that we kind of layer on top is that verification and analysis. Now, that's powered by artificial intelligence, but again, provides actionable insights that not only provide assurance, but can also help inform the severity of certain findings and the severity of certain issues on board a vessel. Now, this kind of customer-centered and this customer-centric approach lends itself to a number of different use cases. And I think this is kind of where Kaiko Systems comes into its own. When we actually started as an organization, we very much focused on those visual condition inspections and those visual condition reports. And we kind of bucket that into visual hull and equipment reports. Now, this is anything that requires a seafarer to go around a vessel and actually collect visual data. That could be a cargo hold inspection, that could be a ballast water tank audit, that could even be kind of an inspection of tank tops or the condition of deck that would feed into a maintenance schedule. What we've also kind of built as part of this kind of use case and as part of our kind of portfolio of products are safety inspections. Now, if you put yourself in the shoes of a third officer who conducts a safety inspection every Saturday, they need to conform to ISM and SOLAS requirements. And actually, it's quite a laborious process. It's a manual process that requires a lot of checkpoints and a lot of components that need to be inspected within a very short amount of time. Again, listening to the industry, listening to these individuals, but also listening to studies like the Seafarers Happiness Index mean that we were actually able to provide a step-by-step guide on the Kaiko Systems app that really simplifies that data collection. It means that if there have been any visual hull and equipment reports, for example, checking life jackets, checking fire points, checking lifeboats, we can deduplicate the effort that the seafarer makes and make sure that data is already uploaded. But what we also do is by providing that digital twin of your vessel, you have a cabin by cabin, deck by deck guide as to the safety points that you need to go through and you need to conduct and check. What we also realize is that a number of organizations, a number of ship managers have their own processes that they need to digitize as well. So again, being able to build those custom checklists and actually create new processes on a digital platform again just helps to streamline and create those efficiencies. Our newest product and our newest use case is SIRE 2.0 self-assessment. We'll talk about it in a bit more detail, but essentially that kind of drive towards digitization by OCIMF and the need for seafarers, shore team, and organizations to understand the new regulations at scale really mean that a digital first approach is key here. And again, developing that over the last 18 months, we've had extensive input, not only from vetting inspectors that have worked with OCIMP and have worked with the oil majors before, but also members of the Intertanko boards and some of our customers as well, who have helped prototype and beta test the platform to make sure that it is actually seaworthy and can be used on board a vessel. And then the final use case that we kind of operate on is pre-port state control self-assessments. And I think one of the biggest challenges we saw when we were developing and creating Kaiko Systems was that detention and unplanned off-hire were two main concerns within the ship management world. And again, that pre-port state control self-assessment just negates the need for organizations to ask the what if question when they come into port, when they end a charter, or when they're taking on their new cargo. So going back to that workflow and that first kind of process within the Kaiko Systems workflow, it's providing a very simple and relevant crew experience. Now, seafarers have influenced our user interface. And by that, I mean that we've actually listened to the people using our platform, and we've been able to actually create a very easy to follow workflow on a mobile device that really allows the seafarer to give you the best possible data, the best possible sets of information, and the best possible representation of your vessel. Gone are the days where your ship and shore are operating with this execution gap. I think, working with our customers and our industry partners, we've developed this standardized data collection model that's very, very easy to follow, but also effectively gives your shore team that real-time insight into what's happening on board the vessel. This digital twin that we've created really breaks down and simplifies that data collection and tells the seafarer, as you can see on the left-hand side of the screen here, what we want to see, where you need to stand on board the vessel to capture what we want to see, and then how to rate that element of that inspection tool or that checklist point. And if you think about the fact that your crew are on deck most of the time, they don't sit behind a laptop or a desktop PC in the crew office. They're out there doing things. Why should your comms be limited to email? And I think the beauty of the app, and you can see this on the right-hand side of the screen, is that we actually facilitate seamless ship-to-shore communication, and we allow for better and real-time finding management. The benefit of this and the knock-on effect of this is it's easier for asset management and risk optimization, but also cost optimization as well. Now, what happens to all of that data when you have it? The first thing is that data is passed to an online dashboard. And again, Why should your seafarers have the best possible experience? We want your shore team to have that experience as well. And I mentioned earlier that data really here is a Pandora's box. Data is something that not many people know how to use, not many people know how to leverage. And whilst your COO and their team can actually export some of this data into Power BI and visualize it for profit, for top line, for OpEx reasons, actually there's some real actionable insights that you can use from the data your seafarers to collect that help you manage your process and help you manage your systems here. And so again, we have that kind of fleet-based vessel health snapshot, which gives you a high-level overview as to the statistics captured by the crew. But we also have that visualization as well. So again, that very visual process of collecting images and really kind of presenting your vessel in a way that's easy to understand is available and is applicable through the dashboard itself there as well. The final element of that process and that workflow is the artificial intelligence and the way to kind of leverage that live data. I'm going to start right to left on this slide and talk a little bit more about plausibility analysis. So as well as the data that your seafarers are collecting, some of the other data that you get using a mobile device are things like a time measure and a distance measure. And what we're able to do is we're able to extrapolate that data and provide you with a plausibility analysis. Why is this super important for the industry? Well, again, we're lifting that veil of mystery. We're opening up that line of communication as to what your seafarers are doing at any one time. So having a plausibility analysis, you know that that inspection tool that may be to conform to an IMO memorandum, that may be to conform to a SIRE 2 chapter checklist has been conducted in the right way, in the right manner, and over the requisite amount of time. Kaiko Systems learns from the number of organizations it works with, the number of inspections it processes to provide you with this analysis, which again provides your shore team the assurance that the inspections are doing really well. The second element that I wanted to highlight is our corrosion detection and our corrosion analysis. So again, your seafarers are collecting a high level of data. They're collecting a high level of pictorial evidence and information. And actually, their ratings are subjective. Their ratings are perhaps down to their own personal opinion. And again, the corrosion analysis tool really looks at the level of corrosion in that image and provides you with a percentage rating on that level of corrosion there as well. So again, just gives you a little bit more information as to whether or not that seafarer is conducting that inspection in the right way, but also whether or not that seafarer's opinion of the deck plating in this example is correct. And you can see here that it's not. The seafarer on the right-hand side of the screen has actually rated this image a 5. Now, when we've run the analysis, we've seen that the analysis actually conforms with the ratings provided by other seafarers in other kind of inspections and planned maintenance inspections as well. And so what we're able to do there is really kind of, educate that crew member as to why that rating should be lower, but also have that assurance and have that kind of insight into why a particular element of the vessel has been inspected in that way. We can train, we can protect against it. So again, providing that kind of end-to-end tool for seafarers based on their experience, based on their feedback, that really allows for better ship-to-shore cohesion there as well. The final thing that I wanted to talk about was SIRE 2 and the pre-vetting module that we have. So again, this has been massively influenced by the industry and has been really kind of driven by the OCIMF guidance and the OCIMF regime moving from VIQ 7 to SIRE 2. And this will affect 12,000 vessels globally. This change in regulation has driven for a number of organizations that drive towards digitization, and we were able to leverage our customer base, our strategic partners like Columbia Ship Management, to really kind of test and develop a prototype that they could potentially use on board their vessels to ensure that their crews were familiar and were aware of the pre-vetting requirements and the vetting requirements that have been imposed on everyone on board a vessel for SIRE 2. What we've been able to do is kind of ingest the 1,500 pages of OCIMF guidance and the rules to really provide a simple to use and rank-based user interface that allows every member of your crew to really kind of deep dive into why they're doing it, what they're doing for it, and why the vetting inspector needs to know this information. We cover off things like human factors, and we found that, again, working with organizations across the world and implementing this over the last kind of 6 months for them, that they actually have that peace of mind and that assurance that there is a software that's been built with their crews in mind that enables their crews to learn on the job, but also understand the knock-on effects of this new regime and of this new kind of vetting program here as well. The final thing that I wanted to leave you with is that a customer-centric approach doesn't only kind of impact the technical management workflows, it actually provides a much bigger picture in terms of how you operate as an organization and how Kaiko Systems helps ship managers operate as well. Our kind of technical management workflows, the mobile app, the web dashboard, and the analytics work within the middle of this kind of crew training and performance and risk sandwich. What you're able to do is you're able to actually conduct a great root cause analysis, and you're able to really understand the issues uncovered by the data, uncovered by the processes your crews go through, and ensure that they are operating at an optimal level. They're operating as efficiently as they can, but also they're performing. If you have a certain crew or certain crew members that always have similar findings, always have similar observations, you can actually go back and retrain. If they're finding things that other members aren't, or other members of the crew aren't, or other crews aren't, you can actually disseminate that training across your fleet. The second element really works for kind of the shore team as well. So it provides a great overview in terms of your risk analysis and in terms of the process and the process flows when you are looking at managing your fleet and actually balancing those budgets and balancing those macro and microeconomic factors that do kind of limit the ability to do business sometimes. And then the final one, again, is just to kind of highlight some of the organizations we work with globally. This isn't an extensive list, but I think the beauty here is every organization on the screen right now has started with a different Kaiko Systems use case. And because they've worked with their crews, because they've worked with their seafarers, they've been able to actually drip feed and add more processes, more workflows into their existing ecosystem and ultimately move more of their processes onto a more digital footing, which again allows for increased success and increased kind of operational capability as well. That's the end of my side of the presentation. Carl, I'll hand back over to you.
Oh, thank you very much, Taz. Okay.